It applies to every region, every skill level, every gender. You are going to need a basketball highlight tape. Now, this is one of the most powerful and accessible tools in recruitment in basketball. So today I'm going to show you the 13 things that you need that you cannot omit, that you cannot skip when you're making a basketball highlight tape. Let's begin.
Colorado, la pelota al aro. ¡Gol! Señoras y señores, increíble.
So the first thing in a basketball highlight tape that we have to understand is what type of video is actually acceptable to coaches, to recruiters. Well, I always say the first thing you have to do is you actually have to get organized, competitive, and structured game tape. Now, this can come through various ways. This can come through national team tournaments. This can come through just something as simple as your high school, university, or pro game. It can go through a pro tour. It can go through a tournament style. Whatever it is, just try to make it so that it's actually an organized and sanctioned event. I know this is difficult for some of the players who actually don't have too much formal experience in basketball. They want to use a men's league tape, or maybe they want to use some street ball tape, something like that. But guys, that will not work if you're looking to get recruited in overseas basketball, because it is so competitive at this level that they're just going to skip over that. So if you don't have tape like that, skip this video right now, and you have to go look at pro tours. You have to go look at exposure camps. You have to go look at maybe playing in a minor league, semi-professional, something like that, so that you can actually gain some sort of respectable game film to present. Now, after we've got our film and after we picked our video editor, the next thing we have to do is we have to get straight to the point. I can't stress this enough. Guys, coaches don't have time to sift through your whole highlight tape. So your best stuff has to be at the front. Absolutely mandatory. Now, I always say you start off your highlight tape with the play of the year. Whatever that is for that season or that highlight tape, you put it at the start. So if you caught a lob from half court and you dunked it over two guys, then that's going to be your play of the year, assuming that you don't have a better highlight. For me personally, a few years ago, I hit a buzzer beater where I scored 9 points in 28 seconds, and I hit a buzzer beater to win the game. So obviously that's going to start off my highlight tape. That was the first thing I started with, and that's the thing that I want the coach to pay attention to as soon as he opens it, and maybe he'll be a bit more interested and follow along a bit more afterwards. Now, the next thing after the play of the year, what we're going to need is basically just some close-ups. These are just real zoomed in shots of your face, of your body, of your structure, so that coaches can get an understanding of your height, your weight, your muscle definition, just your overall build, and your face as well for overseas players, because of your potential marketability. That's a real element that happens in overseas basketball. So this is just basically something quick, maybe 5 or 7 seconds of just quick snapshots, close-ups of you to begin a highlight film. Now, if you have a video where it's actually closed up on you and showing your face and showing your body structure, then that would be perfect. But if you don't, then just put in a still image there, a still image that just shows your face right there at the start. It gets the same job done, but if you have the video, do that instead. So now, after you have the play of the year out of the way, you have your close-ups done, the next thing you're going to want to do is put in the best overall plays that you have in the highlight tape right there at the start. Now, this should go for about a minute to a minute 30. Obviously, this is going to depend on how many highlights you have, but regardless of the skill set, you're going to want them right there at the start. So it could be blocks, it could be pick and roll actions, it could be coast to coast, it could be dunks, it could be alley-oops. It is whatever it is that are your best overall plays. Again, remember, guys, if you're cold emailing them, if you're cold calling coaches, they're probably going to spend about 1 minute of it, if that. So it has to be front loaded. Your best plays have to be at the start no matter what. We have our best play of the year. Then we have the close-ups. Then we have our best overall plays, whatever it is. Then what I always tell people is to go into individual skill set focuses. So for instance, you may have 40 seconds of rebounding clips where you have great rebounds. Then you may have 40 seconds of where you're just hitting shots from everywhere. Then you may have 30 seconds of assists. Whatever it is, try to put it in sections and fragments afterwards so that you can see that it's really popping and you're getting consecutive clips going one after the other. Because if you just sprinkle a highlight here and there of you catching and shooting off a screen, then it's impressive. But what's more impressive, having it just sprinkled in here and there, or having about 40 or 50 seconds of you just hitting shots, boom, 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 quick clips one after the other? it can really drive home the point that you're capable of that skill and really impress coaches in that way. Now, obviously, this is going to depend on your skill set. So whatever it is that you did well, try to skill set focus it. Now, when you are making these highlights, remember, it's got to pop. It's got to be short and snappy. You're trying to cram in as many highlights as possible. So that means that you can't slow down your video by waiting seconds after the ball has gone in and then cutting the clip. You can't be slowing up and slowing down the highlight video. You can't be replaying every play. Things like this are really going to slow down your highlight film. And remember, they're not going to watch a lot of it to begin with. So you've got to cram in and give as much of a good impression as you can as quickly as possible. Now, one of the big points that I always see in highlight films, people put in spotlight circles or arrows. For me personally, whenever you can, I would never put in a spotlight arrow or a circle. It's going to really slow down the highlight film. And that's going to be difficult for a lot of coaches. They may just get annoyed with constantly having it slow down. There's no rhythm in the highlight film, and they may just flip over and switch over to the next highlight. Now, I know sometimes this isn't possible because sometimes your footage just isn't HD. It's not good enough for the coach or for anyone to really realize where you are on the court. So you need that spotlight arrow sometimes. But for me personally, if I can get out of using a spotlight arrow, I would never use one. Hell, I've never even used one before in any type of highlight that I've made for people. Now, in terms of the music or the audio in a highlight tape, I will always, it is mandatory that there is no lyrics, and most of all, there's no swearing. Guys, this is what you have to understand. You are doing this to be recruited. You're not doing this to look cool, I hope. So you have to understand that coaches don't want to hear that. They just want to know, can you play, can you not play? A lot of people say that you should go with no music. That would be probably my recommendation. But if you want, you can have an up-tempo beat on your highlight tape. But no matter what, you can't have swearing and you can't have lyrics on your highlight tape. It's distracting. It can be extremely unprofessional if you have swear words on it, if you have cuss words on it. That may be something that's accepted in your household or in your community, but for other people, they may find that just repulsive. In terms of the length, this will really depend on the coach, but in general, from what I've seen and from all the coaches that I've spoken with, they said ideally it's about 3 to 5 minutes what they're looking for. So that's basically why I structure this, and I've told you how to structure in the way I did, in that your best plays quick, then it's the close-ups, then it's about 1 minute to 1:30 of your best overall plays, then it's a skill set focus to take you home, the 5-minute time frame that they're looking for. Now, some coaches do want longer highlight tapes. They do want about 6 to 7 minutes, but I'm saying in general, if you're looking for an overall rule, I would say keep it to about 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if you only have 2 minutes worth of good clips, then guess what? Your highlight tape is 2 minutes. You can't just start putting in fillers of you shooting free throws, you in the warm-up line. Instead, go for the 3 to 5 minutes if you can, but if you can't, just put in your best solid clips, however long that may be. Now, in today's day and age, it should already be a given that your highlight tape is on YouTube, but for some reason, it's not. So if you have an MP4 file that you send to coaches, if you have a file that you send in emails that you want coaches to download, you are really missing the point here. Because guys, coaches are flooded with players, emails, messages, everything, every day, every week. So you have to make it as easy, as accessible as possible for them. So for that, I always say, always have it on YouTube. If you don't have a YouTube account, then get one today, because it's a universal platform. It's a simple link share, and there's no download or no extra steps needed. Everyone's familiar with the YouTube pretty much. This is just something that's going to make it easy for the coach. Don't give them another reason to not take your highlight tape seriously or to not even consider it. Now, let's say that a coach is actually interested in your highlight tape. They like what they saw, but they have no idea how to get in contact with you. So if this is the case, then they're likely just going to skip over you and go to the next person if it's that difficult, unless you've really wowed them and impressed them. But there's a simple solution to this. Just put your contact info, the relevant information, in the description of the YouTube video. Would you like them to reach out by email? Would you like them to reach out via your agent? Would you like them to reach out via your cell phone number? Whatever it is, put it in specifically and say, hey, contact me here, whatever that is. And there's also other relevant information you can put in there, such as for overseas basketball, you can put in things like your passport, which is very important. I've spoken about this in other videos. You can put your measurements, your body measurements, height, weight, wingspan. You can put in your official stats. You can put in things like that that just give more relevant information to the coach so that they can make a more informed decision. Now, these last two steps are basically, just think of it like the cherry on top. They're not really necessary, but they do definitely help you if you are looking to take it to that extra step. And that is, you can use an engaging title in your highlight film. Now, if you have some sort of major accomplishment or recruiting tool that you can use at your disposal, such as maybe you're a 50, 40, 90 shooter, maybe you are a Bozeman A passport holder, maybe you're a major award winner, you had 10 words or less to wow or impress and coach, what would you tell them? What would you say to them? So for instance, let me give an example for me. I've won 4 national scoring titles and 2 3-point titles in Latin America. So I used that and put it Jose Colorado, 4-time national scoring champion, 2-time 3-point champion, season highlights, something along those lines. Now, if you don't have something like that to promote, then don't just start making stuff up. Then just keep it simple. Keep it in a basic format. Maybe your name, the type of highlight that you're doing, maybe season highlights, or if they're game highlights, and the university or college or the team that you're playing on, and then the year. And finally, the last extra bonus point that you can do is that you can make an engaging thumbnail. So if you have some sort of cool Photoshop that your team or someone else or one of your friends have done, then I always say put it on there, because this doesn't just apply to coaches. This applies to watching and YouTube in general, and just human psychology, human behavior, is that when there's more of an engaging title to click on, people are likely to click on it. Logically, we should only be applying that to basketball. So for me, for instance, one of my favorite ones that I did, it wasn't me actually, it was my team. They did my shot chart when I won my second national 3-point title, and it showed all of the makes, the percentages, and it looked really cool. And this is something that I'm sure that coaches looked at, and it caught their interest a bit more, because that highlight is getting a bit more views than other highlights normally do that I made. The most important thing is that you put your best plays at the start. That is the absolute most important, and that you make the video pop. Short, quick edits, make it pop. Don't put on the stupid music with the rap lyrics. Now, if you want to learn more about overseas basketball and basketball in general for you to get recruited, I'm a 6-year professional pro. I've been doing this for a while, helping players get on where they can. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll be dropping more as I go along. Until then, guys, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this. I hope it helped you. Drop a comment in the section below. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to help. Okay, so until then, take care. God bless. Peace out.